Bienvenue au Musée des civilisations noires. Je m'appelle Fatima Bintou Rassoulsi et je suis assistante curatoriale. When we opened that museum, a lot of people told us, you won't have anyone. People won't come, they won't visit it, they are not interested in, they don't like art, it's not in their culture, etc., etc. And fortunately, when we opened in January, for 1 month, we received 17,000 people. It was time for Africans to be able to talk about their own history and to be able to choose which part of their history they want to acknowledge or they want to celebrate. And it was important also for us to have a space where our people could be proud again to be Africans and to be part of the continent and to be from that community. The museum is in the perspective of collecting contemporary art pieces. They wanted and we wanted to be part of our time, to be able tomorrow to say that we were there, we did collect the major artists of our history. So our main interest is to find a way to celebrate artists like Soli Cissé, Viediba, artists like Omoussi, or artists like Godfrey Dunk or Leila Adjovi, major figure of the contemporary African art scene that need to have an audience and that need to be seen by their contemporaries, their relatives, and people from the continent first. The restitution is not in question. What is in question is the questioning is how we give it back to us and how we show them. We have to gather all our historians, researchers, and scientists, and go back, and ethnographists also, and go back to those communities, talk to those people, and tell them, just tell me the story of that piece. What does it mean to have this statue here? So it's changing everything. It's changing everything and in the good way, so we are happy for that.
The Museum of Black Civilization has been 52 years in the making. It's the brainchild of Senghor, Senegal's first president, nicknamed the Poet President because he spent a third of the national budget on arts and culture. It's a legacy President Macky Sall is carrying on.
La conservation de la culture a sauvé les peuples africains.
Keeping our cultures is what saved African people from attempts made at making them soulless people without a history. And if culture does link people together, it also stimulates progress.
Work on the museum only began in 2015 after a $34 million donation from China. The exterior was inspired by the medieval city of Great Zimbabwe, now a World Heritage Site, while the inside is modeled on a Senegalese hut, 14,000 square meters in size.
With this museum, the call from African countries to get their artifacts back can no longer be ignored because this space is a celebration of global black artistic expression. And so whether stolen or not, much of it comes from outside the continent.
Amadou Boukoum, the museum's director, shows us the 18th century sword of Al-Hajj Omar. It was stolen from Senegal and is in possession of the French, who have now lent it to the museum.
When they stole our belongings, they weren't art, they were just objects of daily life. But then colonizers defined these objects as African art. The aim of this museum is to show that African art is in fact much bigger than that. Our focus is not just on the past, but also on the future, and the voice of the diaspora.
A large part of the museum is dedicated to contemporary art, with many pieces from the Caribbean. The diversity of the collection that's been assembled so far is unique. For many Africans who come to visit, it is much more than a museum. It's a mirror to see themselves in a new light.
A history of religions of the world, scientific discoveries and contemporary works make up the exhibition, spread over 14,000 square metres, tracing African creations from prehistoric times to the modern era. Beyond art, the museum seeks to showcase Africa's contribution to the world.
We want to shed light on other areas, such as certain techniques and science in general. We want to dispel the prejudice that exists regarding Africa, which is that Africans never invented their own techniques. This museum will be able to show precisely that this is not the case.
The first visitors seem won over.
All the contemporary art I've seen is extraordinary.
This is a beautiful initiative for Africa and its diaspora.